What is going on, everybody? I'm Matt T. Vogt, and this is Let Me Talk to You, a podcast where I find businesses that are changing, growing, and evolving their area of industry. And today, I have a good friend with me, Gabriel, or Gabe, Vazques Torres, right?
Yeah, Gabe's good.
And Gabe, give the people a little intro about yourself here.
Yeah, so I'm owner and operator of Captain Beard Company. Teamed up with Murph to do my marketing, so he's my business partner. So we're really just helping out men with their grooming products currently, and hopefully in the future, very soon actually, we're going to be releasing more of a brotherhood, more of a community based platform that we can actually help out and just kind of be more in tune with what's going on with the community, helping people out finance and other things. Not just beard products, not just.
Right.
That's the goal, is to really be able to create, more of a brotherhood, more of a safe space where we can all kind of collab and figure out how we can help each other out.
See, that's cool. I like that. We're going to have to touch on that here in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So dude, a beard company, I feel like that is that's random, man.
Yeah.
What, how?
It's a very strategic, but also it just made sense for me. It just all kind of fit into one. I guess where it all started is, I didn't grow my full beard out until I was 25.
No shit.
Yeah.
Beautiful fucking beard though.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that really came from 23 to 25, just using products that were just better. They were organic and they were just helping me out. And actually a buddy of mine had a beard company that I was helping him out with. And ultimately I moved out to St. Louis, and I didn't have as access to him. He wasn't as active into the business, and it was just one of those things where he even offered to sell a business to me. And that's originally where the idea came from. And that's when I started kind of tinkering with the idea. And on top of that, I've been cutting hair since I was 14. So it's just something I did on the side. It's something that I knew what my customers kind of want. I knew what my friends and family want. That's really who I'd cut hair for. And so it became one of those things of, okay, let me see how I can go about doing this, because everything on the market and anything on the shelves just wasn't getting the jobs done. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do something a little bit better. And that's kind of where the idea started. And ultimately I didn't end up buying the business. I ended up kind of just telling him, hey man, what you're using and ingredients you're using is not something that I would use. But do you mind if I do my own thing here in St. Louis?
Respectful.
He was super, super supportive about that. And so that's where kind of Captain started. Originally, the Captain idea started with an apparel company, actually.
Okay.
That I was going to do years back. And
I dabbled in that.
Yeah, I never did anything with it. But the idea was to, be the captain of your own life, kind of more of a motivational, nautical style apparel. But it just never really took off. It wasn't the right timing for me. And so when I first started tinkering with the idea of a beard company, it was actually going to be called Gateway Beard Company, which is Gateway City Beard Company or something like that. And I talked to some locals, and they were like, yeah, we're not known for that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm new to St. Louis, so
help me.
Yeah, help. And so, I couldn't really find a good name. And I'm like, man, it just needs a brand. It needs a face. It needs something. And that's where I was like, well, I already have the Captain logo. I already have everything set up.
Boom.
Let's just put it all together. And so that's really where it started.
That's cool. That's cool.
And as far as the products, why I wanted to do something different, and the ingredients weren't the same as a previous guy. I really want to do everything fully organic and DHT safe, which is, I don't know if you've heard testosterone. I forgot. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but it's basically 10% of your full testosterone, and that's what increases your beard growth, your thickness, and all these things.
Really?
So when you start going to this deep hole, you find that all these ingredients block DHT, but they're made for your beard. It's completely counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense.
That's crazy.
Right. And
that's something you don't think about.
You don't. But when you start putting the pieces together, you're like, well, how is this a beard balm, but it blocks DHT? And then it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I was like, okay, if we can go to the root cause and figure out, ingredients that actually absorb really well into the skin and can heal from the, the inside out, then you're going to have way better results. And that's exactly what our whole ideology is.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. I mean, I think there's so many avenues as far as business goes that need to be approached better. And I feel like the fact that you're actually diving in and figuring out problems and you're solving them. That's what's going to make it a good company. That's what's going to catapult your company to the next level, right? So what are you doing to educate people on this? Because that's the first time I've heard something about it. You know, is that something you do? Do you guys educate people on why your products are better?
Yeah, a lot of our content is around motivation, educational content, really trying to get them to understand what it is that makes us better and why we focus so much on it. You know, we haven't even touched on how, you know, some of the ingredients that are out there and some of the preservatives and all these things actually harm the testosterone.
Yep.
You know, and that's a completely different story, but like that's real. It's a very real thing in all products, body washes.
Oh yeah,
all of it.
I use Squatch deodorant. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And that all natural, because I did all that research on the silver in there. Dude, I had to get.
Yeah, it's a great aluminum free alternative. The problems that I have with the all natural space currently is that a lot of them either use like certain alcohols for basically to clean, to like sanitize, which dry out the skin, or they'll use sodium as a thickening agent, which also dries out the skin.
That makes sense.
And so it's like it's a good, better, best situation.
Yeah.
And I aim to just be the best that I can be, and that's really the space that we're in, which is why, you know, we're not for everybody. It's not going to be the cheapest products, but
you're going to be the best.
Exactly.
As long as you're getting people results, at some point it doesn't matter what your price point is, because you are supplying a solution to everyone's problem. You're effectively giving them results that they need, and that probably a lot of people don't even know they need. Because just like food and just like everything else you were mentioning, a lot of people don't know that there's poor ingredients that are essentially poisoning our body, and, you know, things like deodorant and body wash and stuff like that. And I can say personally, guys, I've used this man's products. Grade A, 12 out of 10. And that's not a sales pitch because the man's sitting in front of me. Yeah. That's just facts. I use the oil, beard balm, butter, wash. I covered the bases. So I'm a believer in everything this man's saying. So where do you look to grow strategically as far as like the market? What does your guys' market look like?
Yeah, I mean, our goal really wasn't to go into the retail stores. Our goal was mostly to go into barbershops and places that, you know, you already have a relationship with that barber. You already have that established. And so it's like, well, what if your barber educated you on what's going on? What if, you know, he suggested a product, or better yet, he tries out a product on you that you really enjoy. You can kind of test it out there. I just figured that that'd be a really good way to keep the ecosystem going for small businesses and kind of just keep the money in the small business compared to going to a big corporation and giving them a huge percentage. And so that's kind of our goal, is just to get across the states through barbershops.
Yeah, see, I like that a lot, because I mean, 9 out of 10 times, man, I rely on my barber or whoever, you know, to supply me with the best products. I mean, somebody at Walmart's not going to tell me what to pick up off the shelf, and I ain't going to trust them. I mean, the Old Spice sold me on deodorant for a while with their catchy jingles, but that only took me too far until I educated myself.
Yeah, what you really got to, you know, start doing some deep work on that. You'll start realizing how bad some of their stuff is.
That's exactly it, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. So you said you weren't originally from St. Louis?
No. I'm originally from Puerto Rico originally. Moved to the United States around 6 years old. And then from there, I moved to Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, like Northeast.
Right.
So I lived there pretty much my whole life. And then about 3 years ago, came out to St. Louis to, you know, work at First Form, kind of be involved in the community a bit more.
Yep. Murph said you worked at First Form.
Yep.
Man,
the First Form story is crazy, man. I started with 1P as an ambassador in 2016 when the ambassadorship program first started. And, you know, I was a broke college kid that really couldn't afford too much. And so it didn't really pan out for me as well as I could. You know, at the end of the day, that's really how I understand it now. It's really your own business within a business. And so I didn't really have that mentality back then. It was mostly just, I just competed. I was just like, let me just kind of get in, you know, into the community. And it was cool. I couldn't keep up with it, you know. And so I still kind of kept here and there, but I figured that I would be way more useful for the company hands-on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so 2021 came around, 2021, 2022. 2021 we went to the Summer Smash because I'm pretty sure they didn't do 2020.
Yep, I think you're right
because of COVID.
Yep.
And so 2021 came around, and me and my girl went to Summer Smash, and we just fell in love with the community. Like, we already enjoyed 1P products. We already were, ambassadors of them as far as like what they were about. But being here and seeing it and feeling it, it's way different.
Oh, it's way different, dude. It's what they've created is crazy.
It's something you need to experience like in person.
That's exactly it. Nobody understands until you actually like feel it when you're in Summer Smash. Like it's unexplainable, really. I mean, people can do their best, but it doesn't do it justice. So, does your old lady still work there?
Yeah.
Nice.
She's still building her career there. I worked there part-time. So basically what happened was that I got a remote position and I doubled my income during COVID. And I was like, okay, well, now we're in a position where we can go do some stuff. And so we went to Summer Smash, and we was like, well, do it. Like,
hell yeah.
So she started over basically from scratch, and I've been working her way up. And so, she's part of the experience team currently and really enjoys this. Plans out some of the Summer Smashes.
Oh, see, that's cool. That's fun.
It's cool seeing it, full circle. I worked at 1P for about 10 months part-time, like after hours, after my day job. And it was just kind of one of those things where I didn't really feel as part of the community as I wanted it to be.
Right.
And I just felt like, well, even for the best company in the world, I still don't feel
there's
something missing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always knew I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. So that was like a perfect time to kind of get away and
branch out into your own thing. Exactly.
Yeah, and I went through a really big detachment process where I wasn't listening to videos, I wasn't listening to podcasts, I wasn't anything. I was like, I need to figure out who I am. And so that's kind of through that process, and kind of meeting some new friends along the way. That's where I was like, okay, I can actually do something with my creative side a lot more. I haven't really been touching into.
Yep.
And that's when the idea of bringing Captain back and doing beer products, manufacturing these things, and creating something out of nothing was like really intriguing to me.
It's so funny that when you place yourself around the right group of people and then you just kind of fall back, you kind of think on, at least is how it happened for me. You kind of pull back, you think on everything you've learned from them, you're in the right mindset and everything. And then the creative juices, man, they just start pumping, going. You're like, well, yeah, this is cool and I love it. But I felt the same way. I'm like, this is fun. I love this company. I will support them till I die.
Yep.
But is everything. And I got to do my own damn thing, right, dude? Yeah. You know what I mean? No harm, no foul. And so how long have you been doing
a year and a little over a year in currently?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We're still very, very beginning of it. We're in a couple of barbershops. So we have one here in St. Louis and one up in Massachusetts, buddy of mine. And
hell yeah.
We're just looking to expand from there.
So what are you doing to try to expand?
Right now, not too much. Really just trying to, me and Murphy kind of just trying to figure out, okay, where are we headed with this, and kind of what's the blueprint going to be, because we also do some private labeling as well, just to kind of, give each shop their own identity.
See?
And so we create a scent for each shop that kind of just brings that culture into play.
We'll see, dude. That right there, don't discount yourself, because, I mean, you said not too much as far as expanding. That in itself is expanding, because you're giving each individual barbershop its own identity, right?
Right.
And that makes them feel good, right? Mm-hmm. So, man, doing something like that, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as far as expanding, we're really mostly on social and things like that. As far as like going out and visiting, other states, we just haven't gotten to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the goal, is to get to these other shops. For me, it's really important that the customer gets a really good experience.
That's it.
And so any shop that I work with, I've gotten a haircut there. I make sure that the experience is good. I'm not just gonna, hey, yeah, it's fine, let's just go with it.
You're not gonna let some
this slacky standard. Yeah, and so and another side of that, we just talked about earlier, is like, we're not the cheapest, so we can't just go into any barbershop. It's just not gonna make sense. The clientele there might not be able to afford our product.
Right.
And so we kind of have to find this balance between like what's a high quality men's shop, but also, can kind of get to everyone, right? Not just, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to find that balance of like extremely high end, but also like
Mid-level
in the middle.
Yeah. No, I get that. That. Because that price point's a funny thing, man. In contracting too, because, when I first started out, when you're building your name, it's like, man, you got to do stuff cheaper because nobody really knows you, right?
Right.
But like, man, I want to be able to do like $1 million mansions, no problem. I want people calling me about that. You know what I mean? Do luxury remodels, custom remodels, and stuff like that. Like, K-Build. Have you ever seen some of their stuff? Kind of K-Build style stuff. That's what I feel like, at least that's what I want to achieve. Get up there, towards that standard. I kind of played around with it, like with this, because this was where all that shiplap is and everything. That was just a wall and that was just a crawl space. So I undid that, made the bookshelf, made the bar and everything. Like, dude, you just gotta. It's crazy trying to find that median that doesn't limit the company, but also helps you expand and grow, right?
Right.
Man, it's absurd.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was, right? I mean, about 6 months ago, we're like, okay, let's really get into the barbershop. I'm like, well, hold on, guys. Reaching out to a lot of shops, visiting a lot of shops, sending out products. I was like, is the ROI really there right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, or do we just focus on income for a little bit until we can build that up and be able to say, okay, now we can just do like a nation tour or something, just kind of visit along the way.
Oh, without a doubt.
That would be cooler, right? So, like, how can we kind of intervene and do a little bit of both? So, right now, that's kind of the big thing. It's like, we'll take referrals all day.
Mm-hmm.
Referrals, will go through them because it's already vetted. We already know the people, like, and so that it gives us a little bit of a warmer lead. It's just
absolutely
easier for us to keep the people in the community that's in the community. And typically, from what I've seen recently, it's like a lot of it comes from the 1P community, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, dude, and that's the same with mine.
Yeah.
And that's a nice thing because, when you establish yourself inside that community, no matter what anyone says, it is a supportive fucking community, dude.
And that's why I said earlier, it was like it's somewhat strategic because no one else is in the space.
Like
if you think about the 1P community, you know guys that are maybe in TRT, guys that are on their own gyms, guys that have their own construction company or whatever.
Exactly.
But you don't have anyone that's in the bearded oil space.
See, smart man. That's crazy. Have you guys ever thought about doing like a balm for like tattoos and stuff?
Yes.
See, there you go.
That's coming.
I was gonna say, I see your tattoos and everything. I'm like,
yeah, that's coming.
And then I would assume the next step with that would be, then you could start branching off the tattoo shops, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting. We actually got a couple of gyms who are interested in carrying our products too. I'm like, well, that's actually kind of smart because it's within that like mental space as far as like development, self-development, all that, which is what we're about. And also they have showers. I was like, why did I never think about this?
Oh man, that is smart.
Because we have body washes, we have, shampoo, conditioner coming out, probably in the next 3 or 4 months. It's like, okay, well, actually it makes a lot of sense. There's actually one of our original thoughts was like, about we just go to bodybuilding shows. There's literally no other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you, right? So like these are the ideas that I'm like, okay, like how can we really serve our self-development audience? The audience is about self-development, it's about getting better, and so is a community, and so it just kind of works all in one. That's kind of the routes we're targeting currently.
Shock and awe, bud.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
If I was on stage and then, I had a beard or whatever, and I was like, fuck, I don't have my beard stuff. I'm like,
yep.
What up, bro? Gabe.
Exactly.
What you got, man?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's smart. That's 100% what I would do. I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, that's smart, dude. That's crazy. It seems like you gotta.
Yeah, the idea was to really be, still part of the community to a certain extent, but be, a reflection of our own thing.
Exactly. Oh yeah. So what? I hear you talking about all these products that you got. What do you got coming out? if that's not too
tattoo bomb, shampoo, conditioner currently. That's really what we're working on, and deodorant.
Okay. Deodorant. See, my man. Yeah. That's my guy. Dude, I don't know how many people. Dude, seriously, at least 3 or 4 people I turned on to that other company. So as soon as that comes out, I'm gonna be fucking coming your way, because there were so many people from First Form that were like, what do we do for natural products, this, that, and the other? Because again, that community likes to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
The food, everything we touch, we want to find the best.
Well, it's one of those things that you're either going to find the best and consume the best now, or you're going to pay for it later.
That's exactly it.
And so, we can kind of go through the rabbit holes of parabens, sulfates, and all these things that really ruin your hormonal, production in general. And that could be, if you look at what low T does to a man, think about that. That's what you're putting into your body.
Yeah.
That's what's resulting from what you're putting into your body. And so, I'm trying to kind of do something a little bit different, where it's like, you're gonna pay a little more because it costs me more to do. It's organic ingredients, it's not cheap, but you don't have to worry about the doctors, in a couple years from now.
That's exactly it. And that's a big mystery to me, why, as easy as it is to educate people now, that so many people still have access to all this education, and they still like to go the opposite way because it costs them a little extra money to stay healthy, right? And
it's prioritizing, what's going on. I think society currently is also a big impact to that.
Yeah,
where we're at. So it's a lot of people are in the scarcity mindset, just kind of hoarding right now, trying to minimize as much as possible. And I get it from that perspective. But at the same time, long term, what's the effects, right? And so
that's always how I tend to look at things. It's like, man, okay, yeah, you saved a few bucks here or there, to waste thousands down the line, right?
Well, I think it really comes back, to what I just said. It comes back to the society we're in, and so if we look at how the world is going, we're not coming from an abundant place. We're coming from a place of scarcity. And so if we can just shift that, we'll see that, hey, like, yes, it might cost me a little more, but there's other ways for money to be coming in to pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
I might have to get creative. I might have to create a side hustle, or I might just be able to really invest more into the current business that I'm working in, or, own, or whatever, case might be for that person.
Exactly, dude. Well, I think that it also aids that, as far as the entire world, man, having companies like you that come out and put your foot down and say, hey, we're not going to give you a shit product.
Right.
And here's why. Because a lot of people like to say, hey, our product's the best.
Right.
But you need to tell me why. Because I'm like, if you don't give me a reason, I'm not buying your shit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
But it seems like you're giving it.
Dude, it's crazy, because then I'll start looking at my competition. Like, you guys are really, like, releasing these products. It just doesn't make any sense. The other day I came across a beard oil that was fully sweet almond oil. I'm like, that's incredibly greasy oil.
Yeah.
2, it's great for your hair and skin, but it doesn't penetrate into the skin as well as other ones. So to have your full bottle be just sweet almond oil, and you guys have sold thousands of them, like, your marketing must be really good. So congrats on that. But let's level it up a little bit, because it's just not okay. Like, that's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's wild to think about. I mean, marketing can only take you so far.
Yeah. Sooner or later, you'll get exposed, and it's just, there goes your business.
Well, that's exactly it. And I mean, that's the funny part, that they just, I feel like companies almost risk their dollar, assuming America's going to stay stupid.
Yeah.
To what's,
the consumers are getting incredibly smart.
Oh yeah.
And because of the informational age that we're in, it's just faster and faster how smart they're getting, and how much, word of mouth is really going on. And you also, from a business perspective, a lot of people don't understand, like, negative word of mouth reaches a lot faster than positive. So you can play the game, but just know the odds are not in the favor as far as, putting out crap product.
Hell yeah, dude. People love to talk about bad situations. You have to pull teeth to get somebody to say something good about you, but it's somebody, oh, this motherfucker did this, that. Oh yeah, he's a piece of shit, or this, that. You know what I mean? But man, you have to have a overwhelming, like, positive experience with someone. Like, go above and beyond to get someone to be like, that right there, that's good shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
How negative life is. But dude, so what you're going for barbershops, you're expanding your line.
Barbershops, gyms, different events that we might be doing along the line. But that's the goal right now, yeah.
So as far as marketing online, what do you think your numbers are like on that? Is it pretty good? Or do you think
we're doing all right? I think right now we're just trying to figure out kind of what works for us and what doesn't, what kind of content resonates, what doesn't. We went from motivational stuff to more educational content as well, and kind of trying to mix some in between. And so, it's going to be a game for a little bit. The first couple of years of business, it's just you trying to figure it out. Or, right now we're doing everything organically. We don't run ads. Everything's word of mouth.
See, that's beautiful.
And so
that's how I am.
Yeah. If we feel like, hey, like we can create this and then organically it shows that it's viable, then maybe we'll run that on it. But like until we see something pop off, it doesn't make sense to run ads right now.
Right. Well, no, that makes sense to me. Yep. So what do you think what's the biggest hang up, I guess, in the health and, would it be health and beauty, health and nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, it's technically the personal care beauty space. I like to think it's also health involved. And so that's kind of what I'm leaning more towards.
Exactly.
Sorry, what was your question?
What do you think the biggest hang up of being in that specific area is?
Oh, dude, there's so many companies coming out now. Like within the last year of us being in business, we've seen so many companies come out that are within the beard and personal care space for men. And, we just saw, for example, The Rock just came out with Papa Tui.
Yep.
Okay. You have Every Man Jack. You have all these other brands that are just coming out. I'm just like looking at their products and they're all the same. It's probably all coming from one or two manufacturers who maybe their scents might change, but that's about it. You're getting the same product. It's just a different label, a different packaging.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the same thing.
Well, it sounds like it bodes well for the company then, right?
Right. I mean, if you go into any retail store, you're not going to find organic beard products anywhere.
No.
Or organic anything.
No. So that's the fucking beauty of what you guys are doing.
Yep. And by the way, going into these big retail box stores has crossed our mind quite a bit, because it's like, well, how are we going to compete with them? Let's just face them head on. Good.
Yeah. What does the process of that look like?
Well, typically it requires some type of sales or, some type of agency that already has that connection with that retailer.
Like Mark Cuban, like Shark Tank kind of shit.
Exactly. And so for them to be able to back you, you need a good history of like, hey, we've had this many sales. This is because they don't want to put something on the shelf that's not going to sell either.
Yeah, they want someone with rapport behind it.
And so it's just this game of like, hey, we need this, we need that, and it can be very political. And some, our company, I would say, is a little more conservative. Would you say? Right. I think Curtison's is better. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, we're not gonna play the political game, and I think a lot of these companies do, and that's why they can kind of be in these big box retailers, and we're kind of like the opposite of that. So that would also be kind of a hurdle. So it's just one of those things that's like, well, do we fight this thing, or we just kind of do our own thing and our own path, and then when the time comes, we can.
When it's right, it's right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But I'd rather be in every single barbershop in every corner, or not, every barbershop. Because like I said, there's still standard, but
yeah, you're
at least
selected
a barbershop
for sure.
That's within a mile or two radius of you throughout the nation. Like that would be the goal.
That's cool.
Because that way it's still 100+ barbershops.
Oh yeah,
right. And so it's still pretty viable for you to be able to say, okay, I'm in Sacramento. Let me go to this barbershop right here. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. Whatever the case might be, you're able to grab some products that are actually good for you.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, hey.
And if we expand to the gyms, that's even more, right? So like, there's other ways as far as getting eyes on it without having to go big box. And that's kind of what we're leaning towards.
Yeah. I mean, you can, you know, as far as like your tattoo stuff, there's somebody in the first form community that's a tattoo artist that was on Ink Masters.
Right.
Hey, you want to try this?
Yeah, man.
She posts that motherfucker. Boom.
Right.
You don't think other tattoo artists are going to want to try that shit?
We've seen how like impactful just influencers are. It's just a matter of getting the right people in place. And
that's exactly it.
With the mission.
I feel like that's hard, man, too, because you never know with influencers, you know, who they actually are in real life. You know what I mean? Yep. Until you come face to face with them. And even then, they could still put on a fucking cloak, right?
I agree. But that's, again, the great thing about the community we're somewhat in. It's just like, to a certain extent, they're vetted, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's just kind of, it's cool. It's cool to see just like-minded individuals just trying to get better. And that's really what we're focusing on. You know, and ultimately everything comes down to truth. It's just, you know, what's the truth behind who you are and what you represent, and how can we kind of collab together to really help people in a more positive and, you know, inspiring way. Yep.
No doubt about that. So you said the original idea for Captain was apparel?
Yeah.
To tell me, I'm interested in that because I played the apparel game for a little bit. So tell me about that.
So, yeah, I mean, the idea was still the same, still to be the captain of your own life, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of do like traditional, like, I don't know if you look at the traditional tattoos and things like that, that were kind of just, like Americana style stuff.
Yep.
That's really what I was shooting for.
See, that's cool.
And I'm sure that's something that'll come. We have probably 5 or 6 designs already drawn up. It's just a matter of
that's cool.
Executing on them.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's very Americana, very, you know, just motivational content that you can wear and you can represent and kind of look at and say, okay, like, I'll put this on every single day. There's a certain standard of which I have to uphold. So that's really the goal.
See, that's cool. That's cool. Why'd you kind of fishtail away from that?
At the time, I pretty much created the brand, and then I went into the military.
Yeah,
which didn't work out for me, but I went to the military, so like I kind of just paused it. When I came back, I just went right into work and just kind of building out my career again. And so, yeah, I put everything on the back burner as far as that stuff goes.
I can tell you that the apparel industry is fucking nuts.
It's incredibly competitive as well. So it was just like, I want to get into this. Or
dude, it's rough. Yeah. Rough. Trying to deal with manufacturers.
Very saturated.
Oh, yeah. Like having the idea, be Lululemon, and you're like, holy shit. Everyone's got their own mixture. It's patented, so you can't use their fucking blend and materials and everything. I'm like, Under Armour keeps their shit top secret. Like,
you can find most of their stuff. You can find their manufacturers.
Oh yeah, I've
gone through some rabbit holes.
I've definitely did some headhunting too, and I'm like,
I mean, you'd be surprised actually too, like with the minimums that those manufacturers will actually do for you. Like, you can get some quality stuff, but for us, we want to keep everything in house, right? So how can we do U.S. made apparel, 100% cotton, so there's no plastics within your clothing.
Yep.
Unfortunately, what's out there, any blend probably has plastic in it. And so said, okay, how can we create, a US made product, get it screen printed here in St. Louis.
Yep.
And create something that's like as US made as it's gonna get.
Yep.
Right.
Ain't no doubt about it. I will say, I'm a whore for blends.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking whore.
A good 50-50 is always nice because it doesn't shrink up, but at the end of the day, there's also a rabbit hole you can go into those that I've recently come across, and I'm like, man, yeah, especially yoga pants and all these things that women wear.
No shit.
Oh yeah.
See, that's interesting.
Men's underwear that is fully polyester.
Yeah,
great.
No,
great for sweat.
Yeah,
not great for you.
See, dude, that's what I've been thinking about, like apparel for, again, only because like I like wearing pants most of the time, but my pants have to be like for summer. I want them thin, but still durable.
Right.
And I like the moisture wicking thing for my shirts because although I work in it all day, I still don't want, if the customer comes and checks on their product or anything, I don't want them to see me like drenched in a sweat soaked shirt. So that's why I like Next Level does a fairly good job with being comfortable. They don't shrink. They fit well for me.
Right.
And
yeah, and that's why I think it's more important when it comes to underwear and yoga pants, things that are physically touching those private areas.
Oh yeah, well, without a doubt.
Tougher, right? Where if you wear pants or a shirt but you have cotton underwear, then you might be all right. It's not that big of a deal.
What is what's the item that they use for women? I was actually looking this up. It starts with an M. They use it for women's underwear, like robes. It's supposed to be a really, really comfortable material. And actually, I got a Kenneth Cole shirt, and they use it in their blend. It's a poly and something, but I looked it up, and it's like they're the only company that uses that product. Now I'm gonna have to fucking pull it up, but I just wanted to see your fucking opinion on it because I'm like, man, that thing is legitimately like, if you find something that just you love.
Yep.
And that's just it for me. So if I could figure out a way to make good quality material for...
Have you looked into
Modal?
Never heard of it.
Look at that bad boy.
But
dude, it is crazy. I pit out shirts within like 2 minutes fucking wearing it. That's probably where I always wear sleeveless. But that thing was not only comfortable, moisture weak. I'm like, why isn't everyone using this? I don't know if people can't get their hands on that product or what, but I'm like, whew.
But and that's the tough part. It's like it's comfortable and it's such an easy sell. But what is it doing for you long term? Like I don't know. I don't know what that specific
That's the first time I've heard of it either.
But I would have to do more research on it.
Right. See, that's the caveat.
Where you can also find that's the thing. Like if you look at high quality cotton, like for example, organic cotton, right? I recently got a blank that was an organic Supima cotton. Like it's a 1% of cottons you're gonna get.
Right.
It's top of the line. $13 a blank. Like it's very expensive.
Oh yeah.
For people who don't know, like most blanks are anywhere from $5 to $6. So you're doubling the cost as far as how much it's going to cost you. But I mean, you can ask Murph. Like the stuff is incredibly soft. Like it feels almost like the wickening. Like
shit.
It feels so similar, but it's even softer. It doesn't make any sense. So those are the blanks that we're going to actually use.
That's crazy.
Made right here in the U.S.
Nice.
So there's ways to go about it. You just got to do some research. If you do the higher the thread count, right? Like stuff like that. 32 thread count compared to 26. Like that's gonna help.
Oh yeah,
softness and all that as well. So you can find stuff. It's just a matter of doing some research and kind of dive deeper into it.
Don't go to Alibaba. No. I did that once, and I ordered a bunch of shirts as like sample shirts, and they're supposed to be like regular size shirts.
They're all extra small or size down.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck did this come from Baby Gap? I'm like, dude.
Well, the European cuts, everything is a lot slimmer.
My God, man. I put on a large and it looked like I was wearing a woman's small.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even fit in that. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work for us, man. I think we need to go back to the drawing board on this one.
And it's funny because some of the big brands that are currently in play, like that's what they had to deal with at one point. Like they were just extremely tight shirts, and it was just.
It is what it is.
Now you got to go and you got to order an XL and put a large on it.
Yep.
To like make up the difference.
Yeah,
it's a game that like unless you really like take your time with samples and the manufacturing process,
you're gonna have issues.
That's
exactly it. That's crazy.
And we just talked about that, right? We just talked about like how quality matters in word of mouth, right? And so if you go and you rush this, because this is originally like what I was kind of trying to do with the shirts, and I was like, okay, I need to step back because I'm trying to rush it, and I know if we don't deliver, it's just gonna be bad word of mouth. So I'd rather take my sweet time with it make sure that it's right the first time.
Uh,
Because
That's exactly it. I literally had a right before you got here, I came back from a bid, an estimate, and this contractor literally had the privilege of rebuilding somebody's house after it caught fire, and the lady was pregnant, and you know, they have 2 dogs and this, that, and the other. And he said, okay, you know, it was only a partial burn, but still enough to do damage, right? So, you know, their whole kitchen went down in some of the rooms, and it wasn't burned down to the ground, but nonetheless, holy shit. He fucking destroyed their house. Like, just speaking on like the crown and the cabinets, he literally, the first round of crown that they bought, because they were paying for all the materials, he cut it without measuring it. Then he did it a second time, and then the third time he measured it, and there's still gaps in the crown where you can see fucked up the cuts and everything.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
gotta buy that all over again, redo it, repay somebody else to do it.
I'm like,
It's
bro,
just a cycle of patching it up.
I'm like, why did you guys? What? I'm like, you just tell that, no, get out, get the fuck out of my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And dude, that, and unfortunately, she's a real estate agent and she's a designer. So, you know, much like when I walk into a house, I can kind of pick it
She
apart.
sees every little detail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's kind of how I am. Because she saw me actually looking at the crown. She goes, don't say anything about the crown. She's like, I already see you fucking looking at it. She's like, I see it too every day. She's like, normal people won't see that. I'm like,
oh, dude, that'd drive me nuts.
Uh-huh. But he was rushing because he was already behind. And so it took them an extra 3 months to actually get in their house. And then he wasn't even done when they decided they wanted to move back in. She's like, look, we are way over your allotted amount of time. Like, you are rushing through this whole thing, and you agreed. You said you could supply this product, and this is inferior.
Right.
You know? And
by the way, to your point, that's the gap, right?
Yeah.
That's the market. Or, you know, we talk about business in general, right? So many small businesses think they don't have an opportunity to compete at a high level. And it's like, well, dude, if you can do things faster, cleaner, and better, you can charge more for that.
That's exactly
that speed is what you're charging. That expertise is what you're charging for. And so if I can save you the time of going through and trying out 100 different products like I did, and I can tell you, hey, none of that stuff is going to work for you. This will. Or in your example, you can do this and it'll take you 4 months because you're repatching it up. Or I can do it in 2.5 months and it's going to cost you a little bit more.
Exactly.
But we can get it done right the first time.
See?
Right? And so, I mean, you can look at this into lawn care. You can look at any business. Like, dude, that's the gap.
It's literally,
you gotta. I feel like as a business owner, you gotta find the gaps and figure out, okay, like no one's hitting this. Let me go that way because everyone's going this way.
Nobody wants to uphold the standard. Nobody wants to do things right. And if people would just sit down, take a second, and realize that, hey, this is a weak point. This is a weak point. This is a weak point. This is where I'm going to capitalize. And unfortunately for me, you know, I look at it in 2 ways. I'm like, fuck. Well, everyone already thinks contractors are fucking stupid and we suck. So I got to fight that uphill battle just going in. And then I got to tell them, hey, you know, my price is going to be way more. So that's an uphill battle. But as long as I have good word of mouth, good execution, and a quality product,
well, the thing
like
is,
you said, it's easy.
Right. And the thing is, right, you just said it. Like, how many contractors or how many people know a bad contractor? Everyone.
Everybody.
So if they can meet one that isn't,
they're gold. That's it, babe.
You're going to be the contractor for life.
That's
right?
it.
And that's another thing, right? So many businesses, we just talked about the sweet almond oil thing. They look at a short business plan, right? They look at like, let me just sell this product quickly, but they don't look at the lifetime value of that customer. That customer can generate you hundreds of thousands of dollars if you do it right. Or you can sell them one product, they try it, and that's it.
See?
It's really up to you how you want to handle that relationship.
That's the beauty of looking at it like that, dude. It's okay. So if you look at it from that point of view, you're giving them longevity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's how I feel. It's,
you're understanding that it's a relationship that's going to be built over time. You're not assuming that it's just, okay, I'm just going to get this deal because of who I am.
I'm not looking at
they can know all your friend group. It does not matter.
It's not because one transaction.
If you fail that experience, you're not going to get another chance.
I'm looking at every single person. At least, for you, it'll be way higher. But for me in the contracting world, it's like, I'll look at it, each person as 5 transactions over their lifetime, right?
Right.
Sally tells, Karen tells, Beth tells, Aaron tells, Mike. Yep. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just compounds.
Exactly. And I would argue that even though we're looking at different transaction amounts because of the businesses that we're in, mm-hmm. I would argue that it's still the lifetime value is still the same.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. 100%.
And so because you're working with bigger contracts than than just a $20, $40, $50 product, mm-hmm. Lifetime value is even more important, I would say, right? Because you're dealing with, okay, here's 20, 30, 40 grand to fix this up for me. That's a big chunk of money for most people. And I would argue that most people probably have a HELOC or they will have something to be able to fund it. So it's a lot more that takes place compared to just like, hey, here's a 50.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Right? There's a lot more pressure on you to be able to execute. Which by the way, doesn't make sense as to why not that many people are in the contracting world. Like that's how everyone should be thinking about it. It's like, this is a big chunk of money. It's not just a little
it's
a big deal.
It's a crazy game. As I've evolved over time, it gets as you grow, it gets gnarly because I'm like, okay, well, now I got to rely on, other contractors to come in, hoping that they're grown men about their business and that they have control of their employees and that they can schedule properly and they show up on time and this, that, and the other. And, now I'm not just counting on myself.
No, now you're babysitting.
Now I'm babysitting.
Depending on who you work with.
That's exactly it. And I've been burned many a times. And again, going back to that lady, we were having this discussion. She's like, that guy wanted to blame all his subcontractors.
Yeah, but doesn't matter to her.
She was
they hired him.
That's exactly it. She goes, no, this is 1,000% your fault. Like you hired them, exactly what you said. Like, and I'm like, well, I can tell you right now. I'm like, I had a carpet installer and I'd show up literally last night and I called the person, apologized, called the carpet installer, found out what the problem was. It was reasonable. I'm like, next time, let me know ahead of time, and it wasn't like he was late. I actually text him, 5-10 minutes before he was supposed to be there. I'm like, let me know how things go. Let me know if you need anything. He goes, I'm running way behind, man. He's like, I just want to let you know. He's like, I'd be at least 30 minutes late. So it wasn't a major deal, but just that little bit is enough for me. I called the customer and said, hey, is it going to be an inconvenience now? And he's like, well, we want to get the kids to bed at a reasonable time, this, that, and the other. Yeah. No, I understand. Okay. So you go through the whole process, mm-hmm. But that's the customer service. That's taking ownership of everything you do.
Right. And I think that's the problem, right? We see, I can see this from 2 different ways. One, the accountability. Mm-hmm. That's a big issue right now. No one wants to take accountability for their actions and where they're at in life. And 2, it's one of those things that like you want to be the owner, but you don't want to do what it takes to be the owner. Like,
everybody likes the fucking idea.
Yeah, everybody wants to be the CEO, but none of them understand that you get paid last.
That
like you're not free, right? Like your responsibility is now not just to deliver on what you told them, but it's also to make sure that your people get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I make sure my people are doing their job so they can get paid. Like, and it's just a cycle. of like way more responsibility than most people think it is.
Dude, I feel like every entrepreneur I've had on here, we all end up in this discussion because everyone thinks we're, oh man, it must be nice to be a business owner. You're filthy rich. I'm like, bro, my podcast room don't have carpet. I'm working on that. Like, you pulled up, you saw my house. It ain't no mega mansion. Right. You know what I mean? I'm still driving an 07 Dodge Ram. I ain't got the newest thing on the lot. Like, doesn't mean we're.
But that's how it is at first, right?
That is exactly how it is.
And the goal is to get to a point where you have all these systems in place and these people in place to be able to help you. And at the same time, the tough part, and I think that's where, this is where most people hit the gap, is that they don't figure out a way to get their employees or the contractors' goals into their goals.
Yep.
Right. And so because you're so like, okay, I want to get here. Okay. But that contractor might not want to go with you there.
Be like, hey, Joe,
you might have to find someone else to be able to go where you want to go.
1,000%.
And Joe might be a great guy, but Joe ain't going where I want to go. So I got to figure something else out.
Be like, Joe, look, dude, here's the deal. Yeah. I'm looking to do at least 100K in plumbing this year. Can you handle that load?
Right.
Does that fit what you're trying to do? If so, let's go. If not, all right, I'm going to find somebody else because I'm going to be pushing this as hard as humanly possible.
And by the way, at the same time, there's a mentorship in there as well. There's an opportunity there.
Exactly.
Because a person that's like, man, I do really great quality work. This is my man. I can count on him. His communication is amazing, but he only sees himself at 100 for the year. I'm trying to get him to 200. Well, how can I help him? What mentorship can I give him so he builds his team out and then I build, right? Like there's so many things that go into it. And I think when it really comes down to it, you have so much control as a business owner, but you have all that same responsibility to them, not just your customer, but to your employees as well.
Well, dude, going back to that poor lady once again, man, talk about the accountability detail. That guy was supposed to change out windows. He drywalled the wall, finished the wall, painted the wall, and now the window leaks, right? And so he fucked up their floor. Window still leaks after fixing the floor again and again and again, and the window's still leaking. All the while, he just keeps painting over the bad spots, thinking that's magically going to, fix the problem instead of just tearing it out and redoing everything. Because, dude, there's a newborn baby in there.
Yeah, man.
That's a fucking issue.
Yeah.
And he has no accountability for what he's doing.
Right.
And
And by the way, it's a terrible business plan to go into.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Like if you're gonna go into business with this mentality, you're gonna fail.
Oh.
Like it's just a matter of time as to when. And so, probably not the best ROI.
No. And somebody, like you were saying earlier, somebody needs to grab that motherfucker by the reins and be like, look, dude, you either want to do this contracting business or you don't.
Or hear me out here. Maybe you're really good at sales and just getting the gigs. Maybe that's what you need to focus on.
Yeah. Do you need a sales job? Look,
like there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like you can make a lot of money in sales, but understand that like there's a place for you.
And I don't think this is the world for you.
Right.
Like, cause look, you may be a nice person that you can sell all these jobs, but
get a team man who's going to do it right.
Yeah. Bro, you suck.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt you're watching this, but you're just not fucking good. Like,
yeah,
you're jeopardizing lives here, bud.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I've even asked you what does your team look like?
Right now, it's just me and Murph.
Oh, see, that's nice.
And so it's easy to kind of see, okay, where are we going? Where do we want to go?
Mm-hmm.
I see it get to a point where like we have two routes we can go, right? We can keep everything handmade and just pump out as much as we can, build a team around the manufacturing, and then build a team around everything else. Or we can take our formulas and say, okay, I'm going to figure out a manufacturer here in St. Louis that can create these formulas very quickly. And at that point, I'm really mostly focusing on affiliates, marketing, sales, operations. So like that's two different routes we can go. We still haven't figured out 100% where we want to go with it. But ultimately, our formulas are going to stay the same no matter what. That's
really
what
that's the biggest thing. Because like you were saying earlier, you don't want to bend to pressure of big box to be one way or the other. And it sounds like you guys could go the route that S2 and First Form took and just vertically integrate everything to where you literally control everything that way. Because at that point, man, it's the one thing you got differentiate yourselves on is quality and products and healthy, right? So it's almost like if you vertically integrate and you keep doing it yourselves and figure out a way to do it yourselves on a mass level to keep up with production that's needed, dude, that's only going to benefit you guys in the long run, I would feel like.
Yeah, and that was kind of my idea, right? Because it's like, okay, if we want to be able to manufacture private label for barbershops, right? Like put by Captain, but like for the shop. If we want to be able to do that, most shops are going to, want 25 to 50 minimums. They're not going to want anything crazy. Even though they could sell through it, even though it's, it's a year to expire, it can get done. But the problem is like most shops are going to have here and there, and they're not going to want this huge inventory.
Yep.
If I have someone outsourcing that I'm like manufacturing, it's hard for me to say, hey, can we do 50 with this label?
Exactly.
With this scent? They're gonna be like, no, dude. Like we need
there's
bigger minimums than that.
Yep.
And so that's the benefit of keeping everything in house is we can create manufacturing and we can create the business at the same time. So again, pros and cons that we're trying to figure out. Like by doing it that way, we're not building the brand as much. If we're doing all private label.
Yep.
But we're also helping out that small business. So it's still a win-win for us no matter which way you want to look at it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like one outweighs the other, I think. I mean, I think quality control is just everything, especially with what you guys got going on, because it sounds like you guys got a lot of promising shit going on, dude.
Yeah, it's coming, man. It's slowly building out products and just trying to make sure we take our time with it. I mean, the shampoo and conditioner is a big, big thing. I've yet to find one that actually works. And so I'm trying to take my time with it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know if I can get it right, it's a game changer to the business.
Well, see, that's the beauty of it is you're actually, you literally just told everyone, I'm taking my time, right? Because nobody wants a rushed fucking product. So, well, bro, dude, it's been phenomenal having you on.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it.
As I close out, I like to ask everybody one particular thing, and that is through all the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of life, business, what is your number one piece of advice that you want to solicit to the people?
I think the one piece of advice, with myself and with my company that we've been trying to really push through is that, dude, there's a lot more hope than you think there is. Our slogan is "With hope we rise," right? And a lot of people look at it and it's like, okay, well, you can't live off hope. You're right. You're 100% right. The work still has to be done. But I think when you talk about men, you talk about the mentality of men and where we're at in society and, where I've been in my life, anytime that I felt hopeless was when I was in my darkest places. So if you can figure out a way to help people and kind of inspire people to tell them, hey, dude, like you have way more control over your life than you think you do. And you're probably only a few steps away from being where you want to be. You'll start looking at things a lot differently. And you'll start being a little more hopeful of what's to come. And so that's what I would suggest, man. And just keep hope alive and understand that, like, if you're willing to put in the work and you give it enough time, it's bound to happen. It's just a matter of time at that point, right?
I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. Guys, my man Gabe over here, tell him where to find you.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Gabe Vazques Official, Captain Beard Co., CPTN Beard Co. So we abbreviated it, but find us there or CaptainBeardCo.com as well.
Beautiful. Gabe, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Audience, you know it was good. You knew it was fucking great. Go buy this man's fucking products because he's actually keeping you healthy and it works. Until next time, adios.